necessarily. You may be young in the mind, but old in the. You may be young by age, but old in the mind. I want somebody who is young in the mind and somebody who is transformed.
Wenyenchi, how are you doing? I hope you're doing good. I'm also fine. Welcome to another episode of HiiStory podcast. Monopod. Now, on Sunday, Eliud Owalo went to JK Live, hosted by Jeff Koinange and Olive Barrows. In the interview, towards the end, a question came up. Jeff asked him, what are his plans for running mate? And something peculiar came up. I want you to listen to it before we continue.
But I'll go for a running mate who is equally an agent of real change.
Younger?
Of course.
Gen Z?
Not necessarily. You may be young in the mind, but old in the. You may be young by age, but old in the mind. I want somebody who is young in the mind and somebody who is transformational in thinking, a real agent of change.
Good luck, man.
Something comes up when Eliud Owalo is asked about the running mate. Jeff Koinange asked whether the running mate will be young. He said, of course. But when he asks him whether the running mate will be a Gen Z, Eliud Owalo hesitates and said, not necessarily. And goes on to explain how someone can be young and old in mind, how whatever. It just shows that these old guard are not ready to let the youth be the leaders. They are insisting on clinging to it. That's why he asked the guards to say that, to explain all that. I think if Owalo is someone who is really want real change for this country, his first thing is to start by empowering youth, by mentoring them. Yeah, and that can only be able if he can trust them with such a senior position as deputy president. When he starts saying not necessarily now, it becomes another thing. So, what I want to say is that youth, nobody, and I mean nobody, will give you leadership, will deliver it to you. It is upon the youth and the young people to go out there and elect their fellow young men into those seats. That's when we'll change this country. That's when we'll change the future of this country. Yes? I want to tell you a small story. Okay, before I tell you the story, there is something that youths must do for them to change the narrative and start getting into those positions. Voting. Right now, voter registration exercise is happening, and as from 29th of March, it will be done in the polling stations. Yeah? Just ensure you register as a voter and wait for 2027. The story goes, there's a bus in Kenya called Power 2027. Every 5 years, this bus parks at the stage. Engine running, doors open. Destination clearly written. Young people surround it. They argue loudly about who should sit in the front seat, who stole fuel last time, whether the driver is too old. Meanwhile, when it's time to board, half the youths are still at the stage tweeting. Some are waiting for fare from the same old men they insult online. Others refuse to board because that bus is not from our route. A few youths actually enter the bus. They don't want to drive it. They just want to stand near the door and shout directions. So who ends up driving? The same old men, calm, organized, early at the stage. They bought tickets in advance. They know the route. They even hired conductors. When the bus finally moves and crashes into a ditch, youth scream, "System ni mbaya!" But the truth is simple. You can't complain about a journey you refuse to take. Power in Kenya is not stolen at high speed. It is surrendered slowly by people who are busy making noise at the stage. That's my story. Now listen to this. Kenyan youths say they want change. Then they slip through voter registration and wake up angry on Twitter. They shout system ni mbaya, but queue faithfully to defend the same system as online warriors for politicians old enough to remember Moi personally. Youth politics in Kenya is simple. At 7 a.m. we want accountability. At 2 p.m. lakini huyo ni wetu. At 8 p.m. accepts 500 for transport and calls it strategy. We say old leaders must go, but on election day we line up behind dynasties with generational corruption. Billionaires funded by our own poverty, leaders who confuse development with handshakes and wheelbarrows. Kenyan youths hate corruption unless the corrupt guy pays school fees, funeral cost, or buys alcohol. Then suddenly corruption becomes at least he helps people. Yes, he helps people after stealing from them. That's like praising a pickpocket for returning your wallet without the money. We claim to be digital natives, but can mobilize 50,000 likes, can't mobilize 500 voters, can trend a hashtag, can't gather a polling station. The revolution is always loading, buffering, network error. Youth leaders emerge every election cycle. No structures, no party, no ground, just vibes, dreadlocks, and a borrowed microphone. By Tuesday, they are appointed youth representative, office of the minister for nothing. Let's be honest, Kenyan youths don't fear bad leadership. They fear missing out on handouts. We don't want new politics. We want new thieves who know us personally. 2027 won't change this country unless youths stop outsourcing thinking to tribes, stop clapping for mediocrity, stop confusing noise for power, stop waiting for saviors. Because power in Kenya doesn't fear angry youths, it fears organized ones. Until then, enjoy another manifesto launch, another youth empowerment slogan, another 5 years of hashtags, another generation saying next time. This is just a merely political satire for a country that laughs while sinking. I'm out. Have a good day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Bye.